All right, let's talk about Barbenheimer. Like almost a year too late. It's almost summer movie season. So if I'm ever going to talk about this, the cultural phenomena of last week's summer's movie season, it's going to be now. Why Barbenheimer? This is a hopping off point for me to talk about where I think the edge of culture is currently now. What's the edge past which people are actually trying to evolve to get past, specifically, rather than some kind of blanket statement like we always hear about in the New Age or magical world, which is there are great earth changes occurring on the earth plane. At the 1111 portal, you shall merge and activate your DNA and blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, okay. There are always changes occurring on the earth plane. If only they weren't, right? It's like, yeah, no kidding. We live in time. I really dislike all that stuff. Channel messages, all that. It's nonsense. But the concept, the underlying concept that they've kind of perverted is that there is a trajectory in the evolution of consciousness. And the question may be, we might problematize that and say maybe it's different in different cultures, maybe it's different in different socioeconomic levels and things like that. And that's a fascinating conversation to have. And we can look at models like spiral dynamics and things like that. But as a broad principle, where is the line past which our culture, I'm just going to say American culture, is trying to get past, trying to evolve past? There's two specific ones, and I think they're both perfectly demonstrated by Barbenheimer, the Barbie and Oppenheimer movies. Let's talk about Barbie first, which I loved. I really love that movie. It's a classic, I think. That movie was about gender relations in the West, and I don't think that it's any secret that gender relations are a mess.
What a mess.
In the West. And I'm not going to get into details or get into the weeds on any of the current kind of cultural war battles around that. Suffice to say, I don't think it is a controversial statement at all, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, to say that men and women have been a little extra at odds. And the war of the sexes is at a level now that is, I think, almost feels like a real war, right? Instead of a metaphorical one. And I think that people are very, very unhappy because it doesn't matter. Relationships are different for everyone, and a different type of relationship is usually needed by each different individual person. And this is not a comment about types of relationships, so gay, straight, any type of relationship. Like, it's do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It's like do what is right for you. But people are confused about what that is, and they don't know what's right for them. And if things are so confusing right now and so adversarial that I think particularly for young people, they practically want to give up on relationships before they even begin, which is real tragic. And the reason that's so tragic is no matter who you are, what type of relationship you're in, no matter how successful you are, what socioeconomic background you're from, if you're a billionaire, if you have negative money, it doesn't matter. Your happiness, your fulfillment is going to come from your primary relationship, whatever that primary relationship is. Whatever it is, it needs to be the one that is right for you, that's happy for you, in which you are united with your partner, not divided. In which you're coming to a unity with another human being. Rather than divided, or more. I know that people are interested in polyamory now. So the reason I want to talk about Barbie in regards to that is that, well, obviously Barbie is about that. It's a public dramatization of where our gender battles are at. But the conclusion that movie comes to on purpose is they don't have an answer. It's a very honest movie in that regard. They demonstrate at the end of the movie that, the best answer they can come up with is essentially that men and women have to be separated. Their differences are irreconcilable.
You have to figure out who you are without me.
But they just have to be kind of separated to live in their own worlds and only overlap where necessary. And I think that was done not to say that that's the solution, but simply to demonstrate that we don't have a solution in our culture. So that movie was telling us where we're deficient, where we're falling short, or simply rather where we haven't quite completed our jobs yet. And, this is a multi-generational project. The baby boomers redefined what relationships should be. Each generation after that has redefined them even further. And so essentially what that movie is saying is we're kind of in this limbo. We're in this gray zone where we aren't like in this old patriarchal dominator model, which nobody wants to be in. Well, some people do, and we should not listen to those people. We're kind of we're leaving, I hope, that kind of old patriarchal, theocratic, dominator control model that saw women as property. But we haven't figured out where we're going to yet. And so it's kind of like what Nietzsche said about the Übermensch. Man is not a finished product. Human beings, we would say now, human beings are not a finished project. They're a bridge between the animal and the superhuman. Okay, and in the same way, we can kind of look at our gender relations that way. Obviously, the magical traditions have always been ahead on this, other than some progressive, unfortunate examples. But and there are methods and systems and things like that in the Eastern systems, like the tantric systems, that are proposed more healthy models of gender relation. But that said, a lot of the Eastern cultures are just as patriarchal under that surface as the Catholic Church or something like that. There are methods in the Western magical tradition for harmonizing gender relations, shall we say, but those are secret and need to be secret for a reason. Okay, so Oppenheimer. So why were Oppenheimer and Barbie so closely related? Oppenheimer, the nuclear bomb. Okay, I am become death, destroyer of worlds. The nuclear bomb is also a line passage we haven't got. I mean, humans evolved the most destructive weapons capable of destroying all life in the biosphere, and we still have not coped yet. And it kind of went away. People my age and certainly older lived with the fear of constant mutual destruction, lived with the fear that we were going to be annihilated in nuclear war. And it wasn't just a fear, it was like a biological certainty that that's what was going to happen. That's gone away, and much like AIDS, which also went away, kind of, it's kind of been out there on the periphery of awareness because people thought they kind of got past it. We didn't get past it, and just like with AIDS, where people stopped having safe sex because they thought it wasn't a problem anymore, and then it started to come back, along with all these other STDs. It's kind of the same deal with nuclear weapons. We've got Vladimir Putin running around saying he's going to start popping off. So now it's back on the table. Now it's a threat. And that is something that, maybe two generations have not had to actively deal with. So gender relations and the bomb. That's where we're at. That's where we really need to get past gender relations and the bomb. And yes, we also have other things like existential risk from climate change and AI and things like this. But those two things are at the core of so much that nothing is going to get resolved without those being resolved. And what do those two things have in common? Division. They're dividing. They're dividing people. I mean, the atomic bomb is the ultimate expression, the ultimate visual expression of people putting up dividing lines between each other. As it says in the Book of the Law, I am divided for love's sake. And the Book of the Law shows us that the Aeon manifests both in destructive form, Lord Creed, the warrior lord of the 40s, the atomic bomb, and as the serene mystic form, like the Age of Aquarius, the hippies, the flower children, the feminine, the interest in psychic powers. What is that? That's humanity throwing off the yoke of patriarchal, theocratic, dominating, science-repressing religions, just getting rid of that stuff that has controlled us for so long, violently, if need be, because we are killing those old religions. They need to go. They're standing in the way. Where we want to get to is a future where humanity of science, of equality of genders and races, of curiosity, of basically Star Trek The Next Generation. We want to get to the Star Trek The Next Generation future, not the Handmaid's Tale future. Okay? And an aspect of the Aeon of Horus is there is a violent aspect of it. And an aspect of the Aeon of Horus is of the Aeon itself. That means just kind of how history progresses, is there is a destructive aspect to it. And that's the old slave gods, old slave religions being shuffled off because we're too smart for it now. It's that simple, okay? We're too smart for that. It's superstition. It's nonsense. Any rational person can look at that and say, no, it's nonsense. And that's me talking, the guy who talks about magic in public, okay?
So believing that there might be a cause or a mover or a creator is one thing, but believing that there is a supervising, intervening entity who cares who wins the war, who cares who you sleep with and in what way, who cares what you eat and on what day, and in other words, who makes you the center of the whole cosmos, is another thing altogether.
It's nonsense. We don't need it anymore. What we want instead is to unveil and uncover the divinity within human beings. And we are doing that, and it is happening. Social media, by the way, is another manifestation of that. That's the Aeoniverse, the Aeon Aquarius. Aquarius is looks like waves, but it can also represent electronic signals, Wi-Fi. It also means that. The Aeon Aquarius is also the interconnection of people, so that we can have people unleash people's divinity. Because when we get the control off of that, these dominating systems, then we can unleash their creativity and get to a future that works for all of us way faster. That's what we want, okay? We want people at their best. We need to get this crap off of them. And we can see over the last 100 years that it's happening, okay? Yes, we have the destructive aspect, 2 world wars, atomic bombs, AIDS, death, famine, war, destruction, etc. But we also have equal rights movements, women's rights, gay rights, the internet, YouTube, okay? Like, what better example of every man and a woman is a star can you get other than YouTube? YouTube is an expression of the Aeon, okay? This is where things are going. It's not going to be about a few people dominating culture or a few people dominating religion or philosophy or anything like that. The future is we want the entire collective creativity and brilliance and genius of the entire human species unleashed, so that we don't freaking die in a nuclear war or environmental degradation. Yes, please and thank you. But also so that we can get to a much, much into the future. And things are pretty good already. And they're very destructive and violent, but things have been improving massively over the last 100 years. So take this as, let success be your proof. Take this not as a matter of faith, but simply look at the data of how it's been going over the 100 years and understand that the reason that things are going so well, although they have been very destructive, is because there's a destructive process happening with the old systems of control that is being replaced with the Oppenheimer, which is the unleashing of the true will of everyone, which ultimately becomes the Aeon of Ant. And that is an ongoing and very tangible and very real process. And it is one that is worth fighting for, and it is one that is worth putting yourself on the line. Because the alternative is a new dark age. And a new dark age with biological nanotechnology, and a new dark age with biological weapons and nanotechnology and nuclear weapons is the last age. All right, and I'm done.
Mystical. Magical. Mystical.